Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and beautiful people across the whole world, guess what is up? It's time to do a little talk of Starbo. Ooh. You can hear the wind-swept movement on the plains of a StarCraft map. I'm going to mute it because that's really distracting. Oh, whew, that was close, guys. What is up? Welcome to the Starbo launch special. Now, for any of you who did not know this, once upon a time, some fine folks over at the internet decided that they wanted to make a mod that was very much so like StarCraft 2, but skewed a little more towards the Brood War direction. Now, that's not rebuilding StarCraft Brood War in the SC2 map editor, but rather it's to take so many of the elements of Brood War, like units kind of spreading themselves out as they moved, units that are a little bit better in small numbers versus small numbers, a little bit anti-death ball-y, things that were sort of in the spirit of Brood War, and to try to make it in StarCraft 2. So they've been working on this mod for ever. 2 years? Two and a half years? A long amount of time, going through all sorts of iterations, fiddling with things like the radii of units, different new units with new abilities, just all the things that you would do in the usual iterative process. And they recently officially released today. I don't know what the official release necessarily constitutes. It could very well mean that they are not going to make any significant changes for a long time. It could mean they said, fuck it. Either way, in the real world, those two are one and the same. Now, to explore this, what I want to do... I'm going to hide that replay bar. See, look at me. Look how good I am. I want to look at a whole bunch of Terran versus Protoss games, talk about them back to back to back to back, to do two things. First of all, I think one thing that I just love about any new StarCraft-esque mod that's been out there, like SC2 Brood War, this, few others, No Name Mod, which is actually a mod called No Name Mod. The fun that I find in so many of these games is timings. Actually, let me just come back to StarCraft 2 for a moment. The big thing that StarCraft 2 is about is timings and finding timings. So often, if someone attacks you and you just don't have the third immortal, you just die. Because you needed to have the right timing to have 3 immortals out at that specific time, and his attack worked because he scissored himself right in there at that one particular weak moment. In StarCraft 2, there's not actually that much you can do if you don't have that third immortal. The micro and management within the battle, once the battle has begun, does not have nearly the impact in StarCraft 2 that the pre-game strategic decisions have. We see this all the time, and a player that rushes with Widow Mines and the Protoss just doesn't have protection, boom, he's dead. These sorts of things. What's really cool about Starbo is that not only is there all these sorts of timings to explore, but also positioning and judgment in these situations is just as important as it is in Brood War. Well, I don't want to say just as important, because I do not have the I don't have the experience of Starbo that I have in Brood War. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You catch my drift? Because I don't have the experience of Brood War in any other game, except for maybe poker or Beatmania 2DX. So, I want to showcase this first very simple game because it's a timing push game. And the Terran vs. Protoss that we're going to look at today stay pretty confined within a certain subset of strategy that we can talk a little bit about. We'll get to see some of those cool things like the nice timingness that I was talking about, the sort of new timings that exist, but also I'm gonna rag on some errors and praise some awesome. You know what I mean? Oh, because these things warm my little nerd heart, right? Because I played, Brood War for 17 years. I still infrequently play Brood War and relatively frequently watch. So these little things, oh. So we got Dirty Bag. I'm gonna zoom back a little bit, and we have BF, FF Moxie. Now, much of what you'll see in Starbo is the same as StarCraft 2. In Starbo, Terran vs. Protoss is more about the Brood War-esque mech of Vulture, Tank, Goliath being the core. We'll see some other little cutesy things that are sort of the hybridage that's there. So one thing that I want to talk about in this particular game is that this is a very simple timing game. We're ideally going to watch 4, 5, 6 games. No, we're going to watch 5 games. I have 5 games chosen. I don't know why I acted ambiguous. This is a real problem I have as a caster, is that I know that nothing's truly absolute. Oh, it looks like he's probably going for a timing push. So you'll see me insert words like probably, most likely. I won't say 5, I'll say 4 to 6, right? I'll just give myself a little bit of a range because things are off a little bit. So I have 4, 5, maybe 6 replays. No, I'm going to show you hopefully 5 because that's what I have, and unless we go over, it's just going to happen. Let's get back to it. So I want to start with this game that's largely a timing push to sort of set the stage for some other interesting stuff we'll see down the road. So here's another thing that's kind of cool. The Nexus, once you get a Cybernetics core, you can upgrade it with a Kadarin Citadel, which is basically like a macro structure. It lets you chrono boost. You can have a miniature teleport home with Rift. And you can also use a little bit for defense with Safeguard, but I don't care so much about that, quite honestly. The recall and the chrono boost is what I find primarily interesting. Now, for any of you who play Brood War, you will know that this is a very standard way to open, which is to go for range very, very quickly. Almost always this is a claim that I am going to micro my way out of whatever situation. And generally it's used to go one gate and expand before Robo. Sometimes you'll see players go Robo right away. I'm generally not the biggest fan of that. I prefer to just use the damn range. And we see Moxie going for a pretty standard also Brood War opening. The FD, the fake double, where there was once upon a time a style of play called a Gundam Rush, popularized by a player named V Gundam. And he did this with a tank without siege mode and researched mines very quickly to push with 2 factories. That was the name of it, was the Gundam Rush. And what players started to do was to go 1 factory and appear to be doing a Gundam Rush, but it was a fake Gundam Rush and was in fact a double expand, a double base strategy. That's where the D comes from. Fake Gundam, actual double, FD, fake double. I don't know why, this is just what they called it in Korea. I'm just telling you, this is not my choice. So right away, I want to talk about the ripple of timings that exist. Oh, this already is an opening where I'm a little bit like, ooh, dirty bag. Oh man, going for Robo, and he's been using Chrono Boost to churn out so many Dragoons. You don't really need that many Dragoons. You can actually just take some positional steps forward, and you can be okay, and this expansion can come down much earlier. Ba-na-ba-na, a Nexus, da-na-na-na, a Nexus. So, I could say things like, well, Dirty Bag doesn't know that he's necessarily doing this, but I feel like this is solvable with, scout timings like this. Leave Dragoon, retreat strategically. You're going to hear me talk a lot about positioning as being a component to this, because in case this was not emphasized enough, StarCraft 2 is a game that is often decided completely by timings. The exact moment at which you got the exact thing to solve the specific problem, boom. StarCraft Brood War and Starbo, which we're watching right now, that was inspired by it, you can just be in a better position to solve some of those problems. You don't need 5 Dragoons. You can get away with 4, sometimes even 3 Dragoons, just positioned to give yourself a little bit of extra room. And what I want to do is actually want to just ignore Protoss for a moment, and I want to just admire this Terran opening because it's like everything that I love in an opening. First, just opening up with tanks, securing the expansion. This is why the fake double was so popular. You can walk forward and plant down mines to control the map a little bit. Buys you time to get the siege tech up so that you can siege your siege tanks. Orbital Command also exists in Starbo. I told you it's a hybrid. And you can use it to get extra SCVs and to speed up the factory production. I would use it almost exclusively to build SCVs were I in this spot. But see, let's just look at this build, because this is so basic. And it's also so based. Rounding out the remainder of the upgrades here, I actually probably would not have gotten this. I probably would have built the 2 factories first, because we don't need to hurriedly get the ion thrusters. We're not actually going to be getting a lot of vultures. I'll actually go straight to Moxie's point of view. Can I not zoom out? Okay. I'm actually just gonna go back to the everyone cam. So this is a transition to 2 factory, and then following it up by flooding a whole bunch of factories is just super common. Not getting this gas geyser. Why, you might ask? Why not get the gas? Well, it's because we're going to be flooding almost nothing but vultures. We don't need this gas right now. We can save up enough money to get an expansion. I mean, it's so simple. The tanks initially used to defend the expansion, then quickly used to do an aggressive push that you expand behind. I mean, everything about this is my favorite kind of build. A little bit of pressure to get up an expansion, and the tool that is used to secure the expansion is also used for a follow-up attack. And the attack is used to secure an extra base. Oh my god, so good. Another thing that I love tactically speaking, Moxie pushes out. I don't know how to rewind without just showing you the time. Look, it's a 14-minute replay. Look, we're going to rewind it, my bros. One thing that I just love, every good timing push doesn't wait too long. Every good one always does something that makes you go, wait, can you do that? Once there's just enough vultures to lead the charge, and this is what's great about the initial vultures, these factories are only just barely getting all finished up on up.
Alright, bring it on.
Oh yeah. So because I spent so long beginning the show talking about timings and how timings are so lovely, this is just a beautiful timing. Hitting right here before the Protoss has speed, the production is not quite up in full force, we only have 4 gateways here, the 3rd expansion is not yet done, and we're expanding behind. Oh hell yeah. Now you're going to see one of the greatest rewards you can ever get. The death of Dragoons to siege tanks. Oh my god, Craygasm, literal gasm actually. Very nice, very clean timing. I don't want to step into Dirtybag's shoes as we rewind this replay a little bit. Moxie's going to win this game in this moment. Not only winning it with this attack, but also having a follow-up on the backside that's working quite well, adding on the extra factories at the back. I mean, this is just my absolute favorite kind of gameplay. Attacks that are not all-ins with expansions behind. Oh! Quite literally what I'm talking about. But in terms of hunting down these timings, if we're in Protoss' shoes, we gotta ask, well, what went awry? What went wrong? What hurt us a little bit? You already heard me allude to this a little bit, but, you know, if I'm in Dirtybag's shoes, I'm gonna be saying, well, do I really need this many Dragoons against this FD push on this map? And this is like an eminently testable thing. You can just say to your friend, all right, man, 6 Marines, 1 tank, and then flood vultures, and we'll just go again and again and again and again until I get the timing right. And you'll find that you don't actually need that many Dragoons. Well, in StarCraft at least. In Brood War at least. Perhaps Dragoons are weaker. But this is always the sign of a build order that just kind of makes me tilt my head a little bit. That makes me go, ooh. It's when you are devoting a lot to defending right now and I don't quite see your next step. In the Terran build, tanks being built out of 2 factories, defending this, that will also be used in the follow-up attack, right? There is the follow-up attack implicit in this. Oh. Usual Marinage. So in this type of position, I'm going to speed it on up. Yeah, these 6 Dragoons. We really need all these Dragoons right now. And as was pretty typical, just getting a 2nd gateway around this point in time. It's this chrono boost from this Kadaran amulet that's hanging out on top of the Nexus. Again, that's something you can build out of the Nexi. Look, I'll even show you. Or, excuse me, Kadaran Crystal. Ikaran Crystal Chrono Boost being used on the gateway. I'm sort of like, you know, are we really worried about stuff attacking us right now, or do we need a good next step? See, this is where the probes I'd posit to be a bit better. And it's this little flood of Dragoons early that I think hurt a little bit. And then also here, there's a question you got to ask yourself as a Protoss player here. In Terran vs. Protoss, there are a couple of big pushes that will happen in the mid-game. Generally, you get 6 to 8 tanks, and that's like the first round of scary ones. I mean, there's a few that involve 2 or 3 tanks, but none good that involve 2 base. And it's the ability to both defend against that and the second round of pushes that generally involve a 3rd base that are the big concern. So right now, when I look at this build, the key pieces to this are Citadel for having Zealot leg speed. And actually, in StarCraft 2, we talk a lot about some of the big shit, you know, like, does he have 3 Colossus? Did he get Blink? Is +2 done? But really in Protoss vs. Terran, a bunch of gateways is really what needs to be there. A bunch of gateways, charge, and then what's the step after that? Arbiters. I want to begin to see those next steps there. Here, like, as I'm seeing these Zealots, and there's a Warp Prism there, yes, Dragoons plus Zealots and a Warp Prism are a relatively solid way to withstand an existing push. And there's many games in which this will win. I mean, I'm talking about it like this is absolutely terrible thing, and it's not. It's just the next step is a little bit behind. Getting that that Twilight Council, gate, very common play. 4 gate plus Dragoons, while taking this 3rd. This 3rd gets delayed by these Vultures from Moxie, which is great. Hoop, doop, be doop. Assimilator here, I'm kind of on that. I don't know if we need a second assimilator quite yet. Getting this up a little sooner. And see, here's a moment where, as I'm watching this, again, you've heard me talk about Protoss's play as though, you know, something truly bad is going on. And what's nice about something like Brood or Starbo is that it's not like, right, wrong. It's like, I can kind of see an issue being there. I mean, I can see what Dirty Bag is going for, but I mean, my leaning is for the later game. My leaning in every matchup in Brood War always is like, what's the next step that will let you be able to deal with his long-term plan for you to have a long-term plan. And this seems a little present tense. But overall, I'm super happy with this. Save for one thing. This poor Dragoon positioning. It brings a little tear to my eye. This is such an interesting force. Because, okay, look, I don't know if you know this, but I'm working on an RTS game right now, and let me tell you another thing. Holy shit is making games hard. So, all that said, I'm always intrigued by when compositions do something that's a little unusual, especially when it connects to the strategy. When I see this mixture, you've heard me talk about next steps. The simple shit that's going on is Protoss is trying to get a 3rd up. And then soon enough, a 4th base, Arbiters, the rest of stuff. Protoss is just trying to get this 3rd up. Does this force let him achieve that? Yes, as long as the positioning's there. That's what makes it fascinating to me, as long as the positioning is there. And we're going to see this in a contrasting game. I want you to keep in mind this timing. It's around 12 minutes that this is here. See these Dragoons being pulled back? These Dragoons could have been a little bit farther forward here. This is the worst position. When the Terran is sieging up before you've had any opportunity to chip at any of the units, and it's within range of the critical target. And now Protoss feels obligated to engage. I'll actually rewind this using the powers of the B button. If I'm Protoss, or if you're Dirty Bag, I mean, you feel, you're like, well, shit, I have to attack here. I can't not. I really need this 3rd, because that's the plan. And as we can see, I mean, the Dragoons on the retreat picking off a lot of these vultures. But the bulk of the damage has already been done. We see extra gateways not quite there yet. The bulk of the damage has already been done. It's hard for Protoss to come back from a position like this. And guess what? He doesn't. But as with all things, I like to present a fair view. I never want to be that guy that shows a single game and says, here are 3 easy tricks to becoming GM. Because I'd be lying. I would get so many clicks, though. Oh my god, I'd be rolling in clicks. Oh, my little buzzing, buzz-feeding heart would just love to tell you the 3 easy ways to get GM or to climb up the Starbo ladder. But, strategy games tend to be hard, so that's not what I'm going to do. Instead, I'm going to show you a different angle of the same thing. The goal is not to be right. The goal is to seek understanding, and that is what we're going to do. We seek to try to understand what the hell is going on. This is perhaps the most famous modern map in all of Brood War. This is Fighting Spirit. If you don't recognize the map, it's known for its balance across all matchups. It has the following properties in that it has a natural expansion that's relatively well secured, but you'll note that this is all on low ground. Or, excuse me, not low ground. This is all on even ground. So it's relatively assaultable by a variety of certain strategies. Some cool stuff there. But it's still tightly placed enough that this expansion ramp is far back. There's also this land bridge here that connects to a third base that, again, has a very tight ramp here. Once you get the third, it's very well secured. But getting that is pretty tough because, again, this is an open space, open space. Getting to here can, again, be quite tricky. But, again, you have a little bit of an open region. So the goal of showing this replay is to show relatively similar openings from both players. In particular, Moxie is going to do something quite similar. He's going to do a push 12-ish minute-ish. And we're going to see how different everything pans out in this game simply due to positioning and gateway timing from Dirty Bag. This is a game of production. We're going to go a little bit faster. As with most strategy games, your opening might be different, but there are always convergence points along the way. You see, Dirty Bag actually opting to open up with this Zealot Dragoon play. Getting a little bit off on the timing, but no big deal. We see Moxie. Moxie does something that I'm not so sure how I feel about. I mean, he's going for the Marine tank opening, which is fine, but he just, like, straight up and away gets a starport. Starbo facility up? Was that even scouted? Mer? I know he builds it. He must build it later than I thought. But let me just pause in this moment in time instead of jumping ahead. Okay, so here is the style of play that we're seeing out of Moxie that makes sense as to why players will do the fake double. Why players will mix their build orders up. If I'm a probe and I scout up here, I'm going to see some Marines, a tank. And now that they move forward, I'm not going to see this command center. And what we're going to see out of Moxie is he's just going to keep building tanks. But if you're Protoss, you're not quite sure if he's doing the fake double from the previous game, or if he's doing this. So you have to have something a little bit more generalized. Now, you heard me talk about generally disliking Singularity Charge and then Robo, since you can get the Dragoons to micro. I like this play a little more from Dirty Bag. He's rushing for observers, then pulling back and getting the Singularity Charge. Playing it ridiculously safe, but most importantly, I don't see a huge amount expended on Dragoons. And with this Robo facility coming up, even though it looks like more is going on here, actually let me come back to before this is going down. Even though it looks like more is going on here, Dirty Bag has fewer units. And there were 5 Dragoons around the time that this attack came last time. Dirty Bag is getting fewer units before securing this expansion, which I just like. I just like when players do thin timings. More thinner defense. And actually, again, I don't think you need a chrono boost to any of this. I think you can just Go mass probe all the time and be more or less fine, especially with this Zealot here. One thing that's nice about the Dragoon range is that, you know, you can pick off mines and vultures more easily. But if you're late on the Singularity charge, the Zealot acts very much so nicely as a tank here. I shouldn't use the word tank. What am I? What is this, Amoeba? A tank? What is that? It's good at absorbing that mine shot specifically. So I'm actually just going to get to the meaty part that I wanted to get to in this particular game. Oh yes, expanding and getting extra gateways. This is very common. We need to have some amount of build-up because there's some mid-range timing pushes that can come. A player that throws this down and a second gateway, or excuse me, not a second gateway, a second factory, the push can come and we kind of need these 3 gateways. There's also things where a player expands and then goes factory and builds many vultures. It's not a powerful attack, but it's annoying. And unless you have enough Dragoons from the gateways to withstand it and to defense all your positions, you can die. So love that. That's all good. And look how swift this 3rd expansion is. Oh, it's so much faster. Oh, yeah. Oh my god, most excellent. We talked a little bit about this, that there's always the defense of the now, the gateways for the defense of the now, and then the defense of the next. We need a lot of gateways, and we need, where is it? We need Zealot with leg speed. And I think Dirty Bag does a magnificent job of setting this all up. Now, if we go to Camp Moxie, we see Moxie doing basically the same push, but with a different opening. So the other push arrived here at around 12 minutes. Moxie's also setting himself up an expansion while this push goes down. Most excellent. He sees that there's no observers. You've been seeing Moxie scan very regularly to make sure that this push is protected. Now this is something incidental but still important. In the last game we watched, we saw Dirty Bag permit Terran to get sieged up in a position that threatened a key target, that threatened the Nexus. In both last game and this game, Dirty Bag is being relatively passive with his units. He's not moving them out and walking out and picking things off, or just doing something simple like setting up here and here. I mean, you've already got the wall off there. You can even put a Dragoon there if you're super concerned. There's plenty of opportunity for these Dragoons to go forth and to flourish and to be who they've always wanted to be, which is space control units. Woo! Dirty Bag has again been passive in both of these games. But on Fighting Spirit, it's very hard to siege up here and be in range of anything threatening. These gateways are just finishing up, these 8 gateways. This is arriving, again, right around 12 minutes, right around the same time as last game. This little move here, this little positioning move, is what I love so much about Brood War, and what I love so much here. Is that Dirty Bag, actually I'll back up to just talk about it more in present tense as opposed to in retrospect. Come on, hit my B button. So this force, again, very similar to the last game, he can siege up, and if he's in range of a key target, that can be a danger. But what I love so much is when a player steps forward, taking a little bit of extra positioning, and Dirty Bag here advances and just sees an opportunity. And it's extremely hard to get vultures in an unassailable position always. Here, we're going to see 2 get picked off. 2 vultures, that is. And then Dirty Bag can hit hold position. Very similar push to last time, and it seems to be getting slowly thwarted. Now, it's not getting murdered, it's not getting destroyed badly. Rather, what's happening is that Moxie is buying himself a little bit of time. Time for what, you say? For all these big boss-ass gateways to churn the shit out of some units. So as opposed to last game where Moxie felt, or excuse me, where Dirty Bag felt forced to engage in a relatively disadvantageous position. Here, Dirty Bag can have a little more patience. He's picked off a few extra vultures. This engagement selection is not amazing, but it's much more solid than the last game. And as a result, Dirty Bag is able to just pick this off because he has so many dudes pumping out. Now, we'll do the second half of this game after the break. But I really enjoy seeing two strategies. I really enjoy seeing one strategy done in two different ways. Dirty Bag, going to be going for Dragoons, some Zealots, using a Warp Prism maybe to drop on the tank. There's not a wide search space that Protoss is operating under to defend these types of pushes. But we see that by having a little bit of extra room to position, the battle actually changes significantly. The timing that Moxie had arrived almost exactly at the same time as it did in the previous game we saw. Like, almost exactly to the second. But Dirty Bag was able to buy just 45 seconds, a minute, and buying that little bit of time to get 1, maybe 2 rounds of production out of the gateways is enough to kill it off. Cool. It's just cool. Just gets me wiggly. So when we come back, we're going to watch the second half. Ooh, on a break.